do our like priorities lie, so that we can actually be the best of service when we are, of service. But that kind of has to start, with us first, right? We have to be in right relationship with ourselves and with the creator. And then, everything kind of falls under that. There's a really great diagram by Haile Benani. She's a marriage and family counselor and therapist. And essentially it's the pyramid, an upside down pyramid. And from the top is Allah. So there's 5 categories. The very top, where there's the most space, is Allah. Versus oftentimes when we see the pyramid, the tiny space is at the top and the biggest space is at the bottom. So she has flipped this around. The biggest space is Allah. That's first, right? Second is yourself. Oftentimes we kind of skip. The self can end up maybe in the middle somewhere, sometimes even the bottom. But the second place is the self. The third place is a spouse, if you have a spouse. The fourth place is family or children. And then the last place, the fifth place, is work and community. And this is such a great tool that we can use for any kind of relationship, to reorient ourselves. And it's such a great tool to use, especially in our work environments, at home, maybe have it, posted up somewhere, because it allows us to kind of come back to, okay, where am I at in this pyramid? And you can kind of put where you're at and be really real with yourself. Where am I realistically at? Is work at the top right now? And my relationship with the law is in the middle, or maybe the bottom. It really helps us to just kind of realign, to have that real honest conversation with ourselves. And also it helps us to remind us, what is our purpose of work? What is our purpose of being of service? Ultimately, being of service to creation is a means of worship to the creator. So the relationship with the creator has to be at the top, because it will help us to realign with our intention. What's my intention for being of service in this way? And if it means that I am becoming a martyr and I'm overextending myself, or any of these areas in my life are out of order or misaligned, then it gives us it's clues, it kind of helps us to pick up on patterns. And then we can ask ourselves in a real and deep way, okay, why? How am I getting to this place? What are some of the messages that maybe I've internalized? Or what are some of the beliefs that I hold? Or maybe what is the cultural environment like, right? What is the environments like in our communities around what it looks like or what it means to be of service? Because sometimes in our communities, there's this expectation that you go over and beyond, and you do so much that, like, by the end of the day, you are so drained and you've got nothing left, right? But it's like, great, you've been of service all day, and, check marking, you're getting the baraka, right? But we want to make sure that that our intentions for receiving, that baraka is still in alignment, where we're honoring our relationship with the creator, and we're honoring our relationship with ourselves, and where we're honoring the people that we are of service to. And we can best do that when we are being honest and realistic about what we're able to give, how we're able to give it, and being grounded in our intention, right? Yes, Mr. Rashid is I love that. Everything has its rights, right? Our bodies have their rights. Our community has our rights. And sometimes it can become really easy to get into that kind of mentality. It's like, well, if I don't do it, who's going to do it? But Allah promises us that, if you need to step away, or if you, have some other priorities that have to take precedent, Allah is in control, right? Allah has the best plan. So he will replace you and put other people in place who can fulfill that need, right? And maybe at that time, they're able to fulfill that need and be of service in a way that will produce and increase the abundance and the benefit of that service that's being provided because you have had to step away to like regroup, right? Or to redirect your focus or realign in your relationship with the creator, right? So, you know, oftentimes it can be really easy to latch on to some of those beliefs. And some of that is the ego too. Like, well, if I don't do it, if I'm not here, right? No one's going to do it. They need me, right? MashaAllah. So when we think about like our purpose, you know, within our work and being of service and in our relationships and community, one thing that we can think about is the three keys of happiness, the three keys to happiness. Omar Suleiman talks about this. He says, you know, one key is something to love, something to do, and something to look forward to. And I think that these keys of happiness can help us in our relationships with work in our community environment, because it helps us to think about, is this something that when I, you know, get up in the morning, it's something that I look forward to. When I rest at night, it's like, I'm looking forward to being of service in this way. Because sometimes we may have multiple things that we're doing, right? And we kind of have to narrow things down and get focused so that we can actually provide and be of service in a beneficial way and a consistent way, right? Because community and our workspaces are going to be able to thrive when we are reliable, when we're consistent, when we're focused, disciplined. We want to be at our best, right? So when we kind of are closing our day and we're thinking about how the day went and what we want to offer moving forward, are the things that we are, the ways that we are engaging in, the ways that we're in relationship with community, is it something that we're looking forward to? Or is it something that we are simply kind of, we're checking a box, right? Also thinking about, is it something that gives us, is it something that fuels and feeds us also, right? So it's kind of twofold. It's not just that we are being of service to others and we are not, it's not fueling us, it's not feeding our souls, our hearts, right? It's not making us better and increasing us in our, you know, personal development and growth and character, right? So thinking about, is the thing that I'm doing, is it something that is simultaneously helping me to be my best self? And then when we think about something to love, someone to love, does this draw me ultimately on the bigger scale? Does this draw me closer and nearer to Al-Wadud, the most loving? Does this draw me nearer and expand my heart? Is it expanding and touching the hearts of the people that I am of service to, right? And that I'm in relationship with? So these are some things that can aid us in aligning ourselves in how to be in relationship in our work and in community. So we're gonna take a moment to break off into our groups, into triad group chats. And I want us to be thinking about, what are some of the ways that work in community environments influence the boundaries that we set? So what are some of the ways that our work and community environments influence the boundaries that we do set? How do those environments influence the boundaries that we set, or maybe the boundaries that we don't set, that we haven't put into place? How do those environments influence that? Our environments, the culture in the different spaces that we're in have an influence. So what does that look like? That being of service is also a trust. It's an amana, right? So when we say yes to things that we are half-heartedly saying yes to, we are not fulfilling that trust. We're not fulfilling that right in that relationship. We're not honoring it in the best way. And one way that we can do that is when we are saying yes and committing, to communicate upfront be very, very clear, provide structure, clear, concise structure around what exactly what is your expectation and what exactly can I provide, and being very clear about that. And then not being afraid to ask for help, right? If at some point maybe you bit off more than you could chew, right? Or maybe at the time you could do all of the things that you had committed to, but then something happens, right? Unforeseen things happen. That's life. What can we do to ask for help when we legitimately need it? And how can we delegate some of the task? Because this is all a part of upholding the trust, of being of service and community, right? One that I really love is actually taking periodic time off. How many of us do this regularly in our lives, right? Just in general, like really when we're committing to work, and some of the most solid advice that our teachers have shared with us over the years is for everything that every act of service or task or something that you take on, make sure that you have something kind of in your back pocket that you are actively practicing or exercising to care for yourself. So for every one act of service, maybe you need 2 acts of self-care, right? And really, really being committed to that, not letting it just kind of go by the wayside and becoming like this ideal, fantasy land place, but really, really, truly pouring back into yourself and making that a part of your commitment to yourself for how you want to show up and be in relationship, to be in right relationship with your community. That one of the reasons why your community feels so comfortable reaching out to you and asking you to be of service is because you are coming into the space whole and healthy and, intact and not kind of on your last leg, kind of dragging in despair, like I'm here, I made it, but you're really rejuvenated. And a lot of work environments, we have to really check ourselves and also hold the organizations that we are participating with and being of service with. We have to hold them accountable to that. What does it actually mean? Do we have a system in place that allows people to actually take periodic time off that is restorative, right? Assessing our personal boundaries, right? Because we all carry these different messages and things from childhood experiences, different work environment experiences, community, our parents, all of these different things. And so we have to take the time to really assess for ourselves what is going to allow me to be of best benefit for myself and others. Kind of goes back to what Hannah was saying of, that feedback of just, thank you, because your no to me is a yes to something else. Glad that we continued engaging with healthy relationships, because clearly it's such a need, right? We all have, our individual and collective work to do. So I want to take a moment to just thank everyone. I know that Aisha has to go. Mashallah, thank you so much, Aisha, for your time. And let's go ahead and close out with Al-Asr. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wal asr. Innal insana lafi khusr. إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر صدق الله العظيم. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair, everyone. Thank you so much. Really appreciate those of you who are able to stay and those who we needed to honor the time. So thank you, mashallah. Feel free to keep connecting with each other, share your beautiful, wonderful thoughts and ideas. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum.